think the journey of any album ends up being entirely different to that which you think when you set out. But I think that that's lucky. I think that's a good thing. Because I think if you did know in advance what you were going to go through, I think you would very often just say, nah, I'm just gonna stay at home. And that's been the case with this album. Now that I find myself in the third year. And the strange thing though, is that I've made peace with the fact that it's taking time, but it's taken many iterations of the spirit, many moments of feeling that I'm going astray, that I'm wasting my life, that I'm giving up time that I'll never get back. And sometimes I think you have to crack off all of these demons to get back to the core of why it is that you're doing it. For me, when I set out on this album project at the beginning of 2024, I was suffering from terrible writer's block, and I didn't know if I was ever going to write a song again. But I dedicated myself to the process, and I kept on going down. And the more that I went down, and the harder I tried, the less the songs that wanted to come. And it was incredibly frustrating because I was chasing them and I felt them. And it was like there was a certain desperation. There's that lyric sort of that many men live a life of quiet desperation. And I think during that period, I was looking back on the life that I was leading before I went back into music, and I was feeling this sort of quiet desperation. I was like, wow, this desperation is becoming me. But then at the point of deciding to go into the threshold of actually trying to get to these songs, that desperation became far greater because I felt like I was giving up some link or hook into society itself. Because when you set out on an adventure to create something, there is always something that you have to give up, and that can manifest in different ways for different people. But you're walking back from certain things in order to pursue something else. But the further I went into it, at certain points, suddenly there were little gifts started cracking through the open cracks in my spirit, if you like. And as they did, songs would emerge. Not full songs, like there were little emblems, ideas, fragments, snippets, but each sort of crack was as if I was getting back from this sort of world of the way that we organize ourselves in society, let's say the realm of the ego, and back into the self. And I don't mean ego in a bad way, I mean as it pertains to your conversation and how you organize yourself in relationship to society. But I wanted to crack that back open there was that sense that there was something that I felt that I was losing touch with. And I think that's the role of the arts, is that we're trying to get back to that self-source, that foundation, that part of us, which the Buddhists, they have a wonderful aphorism, and it's that we have a face that we have before we were born. So my question today is, what is this face that you had before you were born? And the paradox is that when you try to access it, it can be very resistant, and then you can find yourself resistant to it, because the journey to get there, you have to let go of one thing and go down into that space. And the paradox is that as you go down into that space, it can feel like you're going down into Hades, because when you're giving up some of these things, sort of societal affirmation, or the way that you organize yourself, you're letting go to these ways that you organize yourself, and you have to go down into this space, and it feels like Hades, this aspect, this nature, this quality, this realm, this void, this abyss that you have to enter. And it can be very frightening. But the paradox is that somewhere in your heart that you have a torch, and you have to take that torch into the void, or into Hades, if you like. And the thing that I found was that the deeper I went into Hades, and it was difficult during this period, this is emblematic, this is mythological language to describe it, which is the journey of the arts. But at some point, I went so far down into Hades that I discovered something different altogether. And that was this sense of the river of life. You crack beneath the bottom of Hades, you crack it open, and then down below it, you find the river of life, and that's when you start connecting again to yourself. So I just had some of these things in my mind, because I was just sort of like riffing over one of the songs that's on the album, which is called Please Let Me Know. So I'll play a few bars, you can check it out, and yeah, looking forward to getting it on the vinyl, right? I don't know any of the lyrics yet, so I've got to kind of try and get that sorted. My memory, snow is falling like it used to do. In my thoughts they land on you, they're frozen in your view. The whistle doesn't work anymore. Alright, so look, let me know if you've had a listen, please do let me know. Is it a fun way to introduce some of these songs, just to do little snippets like this? Would you like to hear the whole thing when I do these things? I have no idea. I'm kind of trying to work it out as I go along, and I think that that is exactly the point of it. This is the wonder of the arts, is that you don't get to know in advance. And I just want to say, yeah, maybe there's some heavy mythological language at the beginning there, but for me at the moment, now that I've sort of got over this tough period of just going through this point where I felt like I was losing the project, I feel this great relief and this sense of being within time. For me, that is the gift and the reward of the project and of what I set out to do. It's to arrive in time. It's to not be in a rush. It's to be again within the process and to keep working towards hopefully making something magnificent eventually. So guys, keep in there with your project. It's all inside you. Every single tool. You must not forget that. You know, it's just extraordinary what is in the human spirit. And yes, it takes time to develop the skills so you can kind of go deeper into that spirit and then pinch stuff out, mine it, and you know, take out the ore. But it's all in you. So no matter where you're at, don't be afraid of time. Remember that that source is in you. Keep working at it and keep faith in it. Lots of love, everyone.